Please be seated. So today's a big day, right? It's a big sports ball day, isn't it? That's what I'm told. It's a big sports ball day. Now, when it's all said and done, I'm from Arkansas, and we have one team. And so when I realized who was playing today, I just assumed that since the 49ers are in the same state that we're in, that we would be rooting for them. And Pam was so kind at 5 till 8 this morning to tell me, oh no, honey, that is not how it works here at all. We hate them. So, okay, fair enough. I know of 2 people who are rooting for the 49ers today, so I'm staying with it. And I guess I will too, just because, we're in the same state. Why not? It just makes perfect sense. But I understand some of you probably won't even watch any game. That's okay. You don't have to. But fans all across the country, they're preparing food, they're getting their little football nest ready, and putting on their lucky shirts, gathering in living rooms across the country. I'm also rooting for, it's the Chiefs, right? The Kansas City ones? Yes, those are the ones. Because my sister's there and my nephews are going to root for them, so why not? So that's how it rolls if you're from Arkansas. If you've got a friend that's doing it, you root for them. And as I've made it very clear in this pastoral relationship, I'm not your typical sports ball fan. You all know this, right? I've made this very clear. Stats and rules and all the numbers, not very compelling for me. Sorry, that's just not who I am. I love the cheese dip and the chips and the friends and sometimes the beer. I will confess to a beer occasionally. But I have a hard time sitting still for all the hours that are required for the sports ball to be finished. So I just can't do it, friends. And I know it that you love me the way I am, and I'm okay with this if you are too. But I love the stories. I love the drama, and I love hearing about the players. What do they have to overcome to be on the field? I've been on teams before. I've had coaches repeatedly improve my life, change my life, and their voices still ring in my head. You can do it. You've got this. So what's interesting to me when we're watching the sports ball is to see players in any sport, honestly. There's a moment when a play works beautifully, or there's this beauty of physicality, and all of the moments come together and it looks effortless, where it's like magic. That's the fun part for me. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? When there's just something happens and we all erupt in cheers and it just all works. But those moments are not one moment. They're a culmination of 1,000 moments. It's not in isolation. So Purdy is going to pass to George Kittle or Debu Samuel, and he won't pass it to them. He's not going to pass it to them. Whatever. Debo. He's going to pass it where he knows they'll be. Right? Because they've done it 100 times. He knows where they're going to be, and he's going to shoot that ball right there. Pass it right there. I'm doing this on purpose. So the moment that pass is complete, it's made up of so many variables of math and physics and sweat and calculation and trust and relationship. Every player on the field has layers of experience and voices making that moment. A coach, a mom, a dad, a friend, a teammate, a kid. You've got this. You can do it. Hundreds of runs, miles, thousands of crunches, weight, presses, laps, rest, injury, recovery, good food, intentional relationships. Managing all those strong personalities on that team. Woo, can you imagine that? Those players know how to be in community. Ride or die for your team. There's an intimacy and a love when you're on a team, a passion for each other that makes it possible to trust and to know where your receiver's going to be, who's defending you so you can make the pass and complete the play. Now, the thing that's so interesting to me today is this, and you probably already know all this already, but Brock Purdy was a last round pick. How many of you know this? Everybody. I'm the only one this is news for. Okay. The bright, shiny quarterback picks, they all get flown out for the pick day, and they get put in special suits and wined and dined, and they're given their jerseys or their hat, and they get a fancy press conference. Purdy got a Zoom call. Seriously, he got a Zoom call. And he was at home on his couch watching all of this when he got picked at the very last minute. Now, he's a good player, not great, he's good, from Iowa State. He probably wasn't going to play this year. He was probably going to be on the bench the whole year, the whole season. He's a little on the short side, I'm told, being just a tad over 6 feet tall. That seems pretty tall to me. He's not a superstar, and it doesn't appear he's ever going to be. But he's surrounded by a team of stars, and he's got a coach who knows what to do with them. And so it seems to me like the quarterback is better than the superstar we longed for. He knows how to play the game, and he got the assignment. He's going to hand it off, pass it off, complete the play, and he's got the stats to prove it. He's got lots of wins, doesn't he? And a lot of yards. And there are some big-name star quarterbacks that are going to be at home on their couches today watching him play. First-round picks who are going to watch him play the game this afternoon. Sometimes a team picks a first-string superstar quarterback and they get injured and they're out. And then their second string gets injured and they're out. And then you get to play your third string, who's a solid team player, who knows the assignment and can get the job done. Over and over for lots of yards and lots of wins. Welcome to the championship playoffs. You know, when he got picked, he had a hand-sewn jersey that somebody had stitched Mr. Irrelevant on, because that's what they call the last pick quarterback, is Mr. Irrelevant. Blessed are you who gets a hand-sewn jersey with Mr. Irrelevant sewn on it, for you're going to play in the championship playoffs. Blessed are the ones who are all in, who are on the field of life playing hard, in a relationship, figuring it out, whose heart is breaking, whose life is torn by love, loss. That means all of us, my friends. That means all of us. Not one of us is going to walk through this game immune to the grief or the loss or the joy or the love of living and being in relationships and trying and breaking, recovering, and getting back out there. All of us hope for justice, desire to make peace, reach for the impossible. Blessed are you who love, who cook, who make snacks, and run carpool, who shield and protect. For you are children of God. Blessed are you who are frustrated at work, for you will find new skills. You're going to find new ways to make relationships work, and you will collaborate and figure out how to live and work in this place. Blessed are you whose tears blur the page in front of you, for you will have compassion, and you will find compassion in the face of your friend who is sitting next to you. Now, notice Jesus didn't say, blessed are you whose privileged lives make you immune to injustice. He did not say, blessed are you whose power makes you safe. He says, blessed are the peacemakers. And the balance of blessing is this: your sorrow or spiritual poverty or longing is healed and comforted and made whole through connection and love. The blessing is in the beloved. Now, I've preached on this before, and the Beatitudes are about being, not doing. But this week, many of us were lucky enough to be in Lower Sweetland in the presence of scholar and dean from Virginia Theological Seminary, who reminded us that Christianity is all about practice, that it's a practice. It's not a theory. It's not something you can just kind of work out in your mind. It's an actual practice. And if you're not practicing it, you're not actually doing it. If you're debating whether or not you're going to do something, it's actually a choice not to do it. Therefore, your belief and your faith is measured to some degree by the ability and your efforts to get out there and practice this thing called Christianity. And we can draw a clear line through all of the readings with Micah, this most beautiful summary: do justice, love kindness, walk humbly with your God. Blessed are those peacemakers who are doing justice. I have this thought that maybe we practice our Christianity all of the time, and it just looks different depending on our maturity as Christians or our ability to live it out in the world. Blessed are the peacemakers. You make peace one moment at a time, and you get to decide if your practice of faith that follows Jesus looks one way or another. You get to craft that practice, don't you? One day at a time, one action at a time, one relationship at a time. Not one of us in this room is going to bring about the kingdom of God or all of the justice. It doesn't rest in these hands. It rests with all of us and rests in the minutes of our days and the days in our months and the months in our years and the years in our lives. We can't do it alone. We do it in community. And we come here to find that community. Here in this room, we're here online and virtually. Renewing our capacity, renewing our faith, strengthening ourselves for the walk of Christianity, the daily practice of being a peacemaker. And we ask, in the midst of the nightmare of unfettered power structures that are designed to subjugate and divide and harm us, how do we change this? When our beloved brothers and sisters cry for help, what is our response as Christians pledged and charged to be peacemakers? We change it by loving every soul as if they were our own son or daughter or beloved, and wanting for them that shalom of God, by listening to the voices of wisdom in our culture. Now, we can practice justice and peacemaking in our imaginations, can't we? We can imagine the ways in which we might act as Christians or act as peacemakers. But if any of the football players that are going to play this afternoon are imagining their practices and hoping that that's going to make them any better, then we're going to have some pretty bad games this afternoon, aren't we? They didn't pretend to go to practice or imagine going to practice or theoretically throw a ball 100 times. They did it. And our third-string rookie quarterback is going to nail it because he's out there practicing every single day. We can practice Christianity the same way, can't we? We can pray and learn and have discipline and put in the miles, put in the time, create the team, the ride or die team. We've got your back. I'm going out there. I know where you're going to be. And I'm going to throw a blessing your way. We're going to co-create this kingdom together because that's what Jesus is calling us to do. Not in theory, but in practice. And one of the best parts of watching a game is knowing that we don't really know what's going to happen. There's going to be a lot of mistakes that happen. We're going to make mistakes too. Notice that Jesus doesn't talk about blessed are the perfect. You get a gold star. That doesn't show up anywhere in the Sermon on the Mount. Whew. I'm glad for that. No, Jesus says, blessed are the merciful. Blessed are those who pardon. Blessed are those who forgive. For you're going to be free from the weight of your own perfection, and you're going to know pardon and mercy and forgiveness in return. Anybody else feel a good sense of relief on that one? Yes, absolutely. When Jesus sat down to teach what became the heart of his entire message as a prophet, as a teacher, as the Son of God, he flung out blessings right and left. A blessing for you and a blessing for you, like Oprah giving out cars, a blessing for you and a blessing for you. You are already blessed, my friends. That's part of what this gospel is about. You've got the blessing. You've got the blessing. And now we get to go out into the world and do justice and love kindness and walk humbly with our God and be that blessing in a world that is so hungry and so desperate for Christians who are giving out blessings right and left. So my question for you, and yes, I'm winding this thing up. My question for you is this. What kind of practice do you need right now in order to live your Christian faith out in the world? We are here. We're here to fill the tank, to encourage one another, to receive God's blessing and forgiveness and give it to one another. And then we're going out there into the world to be a blessing and to practice our Christianity. So my question for you again is this. What kind of practice do you need? What do you need to work on? And who's your team as you walk out there and live as a Christian in the world?